Okay. All right. What's going on? So I'm going to be recording now. Like I this is Coffee with Riley. What's up? Coffee. Um, I made a nice little thumbnail. So if you're watching on YouTube, you can probably check that out. I might share it on Instagram too. Uh, but yeah, so I recorded an episode with Chelsea, my girlfriend, like 2 days ago. And that was mostly us just trying to figure out how to do live streaming setup and stuff like that. Like we know how to do it, but we were doing a different camera and trying to get something going. But the conversation, it was decent. But I think I want to uh, like have more of a specific like purpose to the podcast instead of just rambling about bullshit. Um, so you know, mostly it's going to be me rambling about bullshit, but it's going to have like each episode I'm gonna have probably like two or three ideas or like topics that I've like been running around in my head that I want to cover. A lot of it will be something like what I'm working on that day and what I'm about to be doing. But stuff, other stuff is like I don't know, some a little bit more like metaphysical and intangible. So I like to talk about ideas, and I think I'm going to use this as kind of a safe space to just talk and see what comes up. So I started my day uh, listening to a 21 Savage interview, and I think I started. I had his song stuck in my head. Um, I'm not sure which one it is. It's one where he's talking about uh, loyalty and shit. Hold on. Ball Without You. Yeah. So I had Ball Without You stuck in my head. And so anyways, a lot of times what I like to do is like look at people's YouTube. And one of the things I notice is like, the thing about YouTube is once you get famous, like you could start a new YouTube, but typically it's like YouTube, like the growth of the account, the stacking of the videos one on top of another, that kind of got you there. So it's hard to just get another channel out of nowhere. So most people's YouTubes are like extremely authentic, right? So he had an interview of him 4 years ago. I think it was 4 years ago in 2014, and he's just like he's on the like front steps of his apartment, and I mean, he's like in the hood of the hood. The apartment door doesn't even have a doorknob on it, right? And it's just like a hole. And so he's sitting there on like concrete steps and being interviewed for like a rap interview, like being promoted essentially. Um, and it's funny because like if you watch any type of person being promoted like on TV or something, they're not sitting in the middle of a ghetto in front of their apartment building, like on stairs. I'm sharing my screen. I don't know why I'm sharing my screen. But so yeah, he's just sitting there, getting interviewed, and the guy's actually asking pretty good questions. But 21's young at the time. He's like, actually, he's my age, so I think he was like 23 or 24, and he has some like good answers and just pretty generic like rap answers and stuff like that. Um, and he talks about where like why he's doing it, the fact that he wants to get out of the streets but he's kind of like very simple, and like fast forward to like his music now, like the album he just released is called "I'm Greater Than I Was," and like the amount of depth that he holds in conversations is like pretty amazing. The places that he's willing to go in his mind is like it shows that he's grown a lot, and not only that he's grown a lot, but he recognizes that he's grown, and he's grown so much that he named his album "I'm Greater Than I Was." Um, so one of the things that I've been fascinated with recently is this concept of growth, right? Um, it's it's amazing to me because it's something that like we can say that we all strive for and we all want, but when it comes time to actually do it, it's like one of the hardest things ever. Uh, like for especially for me, like growth is it's not something that just happens, and the thing is like if you look around, you can kind of tell like it's not something that just happens. Like it takes a lot of hard work, it takes a lot of effort, and but mostly it takes focus, right? And the focus on the work, it actually takes work to focus, right? So it's like it's a constant pressure towards growth that you have to like maintain the whole time in order to grow. And most of the time, you don't even realize where you're going. You know what I mean? So the whole time you think you're just struggling. And so most people compare growth with struggle and they avoid struggling. They don't want to struggle. So they avoid growth. And for me, what I'm noticing recently is one of the things that really attracts me towards people is like their growth. They always say like people love a comeback story. Like if in football, right? Like if they lost their first 4 games and then they end up winning the Super Bowl, like I mean that people make movies about shit like that. And it's fascinating to me the people who are willing to make the choices to grow and the people who say they're comfortable where they're at. I know for me, like, and it's funny because he was asked about this too. Like, like for me, I know no matter where I go, like, not physically, but like in my life, in my career, and like no matter what I achieve, um, it's not really going to be uh fulfilling to me because I know that there's so much more that I can do. There's always like, like your the whatever your potential is. Like you're always for me, I try to grow towards that. Like, but I know that there's always more that you can do, right? And one of the things that happens is a lot of times what I've noticed is life will give you these rewards um, when it recognizes you growing, right? And Kendrick Lamar, right, said like there's levels to this shit, right? So life will give you like level 1 rewards, like you graduate from college, you get a job, right? You get a $40,000 a year job. That's a level 1 reward, right? And you did 4 years of growth to get it, maybe. But the more you're willing to grow, right? Like level 1 growth, it's not that hard, but like each stage, like it's like another mountain to climb, and the thing is like the mountain gets like 10 times higher each time. So the amount of growth that you have to do in order to get to the next level is significantly more than you had to do to get to where you are. And the thing is like a lot of people get satisfied at level 1, you know. Me personally, I know I won't be. Uh I've always been a level 10 player. Like it it it's fascinating. Like for me, one of the things I really appreciate about like successful people is the amount of growth. That's why I like listening to good music because you can really tell on good music like the amount of time someone put in to doing the work. Robert Greene talks about in I'm not sure in his book Mastery, talks about the apprenticeship phase and how it literally takes 10,000 hours of hard work to make master, right? One of the things that he like, I think, maybe I'm not going to say he missed it, but what I see is mastery is not just a one-time thing, you know. Um it's a constant pursuit of excellence. And so for me, like it seems like life is just one big apprenticeship phase. And if you can hold on to that humility and you know not kind of like literally just hold on to that humility and treat it like an apprenticeship phase, I think good things continue to happen. One of the things that I've noticed is whenever I think I've like made it somewhere and kind of just start enjoying where I've made it to, things start slowing down, and they start slowing down a lot. It's kind of weird. Um, and then things start coming up, you know. But when I put my head down and I'm just in it, all day, every day, just working, just like working, doing the things that I know need to be done, um, shit starts lining up like easily. Everything becomes extremely easily. Like I put my hand out and it's right there. But when I start thinking that, oh, I got it, like this is it, like this is what I do, that like this is easy, and I don't need to work so hard. That's when shit starts getting hard. And Wiz Khalifa talked about this on his interview with Joe Rogan. I think he did it like 2 or 3 weeks ago. And he talked about the fact that like when you get to where you're going, what you realize is now you're playing at another level. So during football, right? When you switch from like JV to varsity, it's a completely different game, like completely different game. And then when you switch from varsity to college, college to pro, so when you get to these levels, like you can enjoy being at these places, but like the intensity, like in the amount of focus, all of that stuff um needs to increase. And the thing is it's in the army, they oftentimes promoted people before they were ready to maintain that position. So like they would promote like an E4 to specialist, or excuse me, a specialist to sergeant, like before that specialist even went to sergeant school. And that specialist would be a sergeant, and like that's it, you're a sergeant now, so people report to you and you tell them what to do, and like you are now their leader, and that's it. And so the thing is like when like you get pushed into these levels before you're ready to play at them, and almost always you have to learn on the fly. And one of the things that I've recognized is like there's no actual rules, and so you have to make up your own rules. So you know people say that like, oh, I have these mentors, and you know they teach me what to do, and but in reality, if you're actually creating your own life, I mean, you can kind of model it after some people, or some people can influence you, but it's you, like it literally has to be your creation. And that's kind of hard for people. I know it's hard for me because I don't know what the hell I'm doing, and the only way you can learn is by making mistakes, right? And most people don't like making mistakes. I don't like making mistakes. I think that I should get it right the first time every time because that's extremely efficient. I think mistakes are inefficient, but mistakes expose inefficiencies in whatever system that you're using. So, you know, I admire these people who really put the time in to grow. And as I get older, uh, the things that I value are changing, right? And one of the things that I'm valuing now is it's kind of hard to put into words, but I guess the other winners, you know what I mean? Like I love seeing other people win, because I now like I don't think you can really understand until you start like winning for real. Um, how much it takes to actually do it. And like I'm not even winning for real yet, but I'm about to be. And like I'm on the 99 per like for one of these things I'm working on. And like it's going to take more, but I'm about to hit that next level. And so I've already hit 3 levels since I've started doing this. You know what I mean? Um, I've started playing with some really big players, and it's kind of strange. You know, I went from not being able to, literally not knowing how to run an ad on Facebook to having a client that spends $1 million a month on ads. Um, and it's unbelievable. Like it really is. For me to try to explain it or even talk about it, I really like it makes no sense to me. But the only thing that like I can come back to is that I work my ass off. Like I do nothing but study and create and like I'm at a computer for 16 hours a day. And I think that's the only way you can do it. And that's especially music, man. That's why I love music. It's so fascinating because you can see these artists and like they're really just they're more than artists. They're craftsmen. You know what I mean? I just I appreciate that, but I appreciate it everywhere. You know, I appreciate like the good craftsmanship and like well how a Harley used to be made. Um, I used to work at the arsenal in Waterville, and they manufacture cannons there and any type of mortars or projectile launchers. Um, and all those guys were machinists. And I helped them get the tooling. I was tools and parts guy, so I gave them the tools and stuff like that. And dude, these guys were they were they. I mean, they can literally make their own parts. Like go home and if they needed a part for their car, they could just make it like out of metal. And you don't just know how to do that. It takes a long time to learn that shit. One of the things I'm realizing is that most people aren't willing to put the work in to learn, like really learn something. They get out of high school or they get out of college and they think they're done. Uh, I think that's just the beginning. I really do. But okay, so I haven't even taken a sip of coffee. Um, but that's all I got for today. If you want to learn more about me or what I do, just check out my website, RileySeaburg.com. Go ahead and follow me on Instagram. If you're listening to this, um, you know, on a podcast platform, do me a favor, and go ahead and leave a review. That's gonna help me. It's gonna help me figure out like what you guys think, but it's also gonna help others, when they're looking at this to see, if it's worth listening to or not. I'm gonna continue to make these episodes probably 2 or 3 times a week, and I'm gonna start getting more regular about the things I do. Hopefully, the podcast will get better as time goes on, but I think I'm just going to enjoy it for what it's worth right now. I appreciate you guys taking the time listening, and I'll talk to you soon. Thanks. Bye.